Hi, guys. This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, coming to you with another amazing interview and a story of a real person, because why would we do anything else? Real people are great. And just love you guys being part of this community. Thank you for being here and being part of this cause. I mean, we are ending eating disorders. We have everything that we need. We know exactly how to do it. And we're just doing this one person at a time so that we have this army of free people out in the world just doing what they want to do because they don't have their lives taken over by food, using nothing but your brain to just be free and to be permanently free. And we have another amazing person on today that we get to celebrate. Vicki is an absolute delight, and she's just been a wonderful part and a light of our community, and she has an incredible story, and she's sharing it with you today. So excited for you guys to meet her. Vicki, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Lydia.
I'm so happy that you are here, and you just have such a beautiful story, and you're just such a wonderful person that I'm excited for people just to get to know you because you're awesome. So let's just start out with, tell us just a little bit about you, and then tell us a little bit about your origin story. Like, where did this food stuff all start? Sort of how did it evolve? And tell us a little bit about your journey there.
Sure. My name is Vicki. I'm 45 years old, and I'm married. I have a daughter, and I have my own business. I have a pet care business, so I spend a lot of time by myself. And I would say that my story probably begins when I'm about 13, and a boy that I was really interested in had compared me to a friend and had made a comment about how I seemed bigger than she was. And I look at the pictures now and I'm like, I was perfectly fine. I don't understand what he was talking about them, but it's the teenage years. And I came home that day and immediately I went into, I need to control my body. I need to restrict. I need to exercise. When you're 13, what do you know? You don't really know you don't know dieting. You don't know what to do. You just know your parents feed you and you play with your friends. So that's when it sort of started. And I used to get friends to go with me for walks to the supermarket to go and get certain comfort foods. And I created this whole thing where when I eat these things, I feel better. And food became part of comfort. So flash forward until I guess I was like 21, and I got married very early. And my husband worked on a television show, so he was gone a lot. And then he was a musician, so he played in a band on the weekends. And I was alone. So I would eat and eat and eat. And that's when I really remember the binges where you eat so much that it's like here, and I would just sit there after eating so much food, so much comfort food, and just wait for my body to digest. So everything would move down so I could move. And it was like being in a food coma, essentially. Yeah. So I eventually got divorced and I lived by myself. And while I started to take care of myself, I actually still had these binges going on. And I found somebody fabulous and I got married again, and I had a daughter, and he had a horrible accident where he required a lot of surgery, and I was spending a lot of time by myself again because I was the breadwinner, and I was very lonely and I was depressed because I wanted to be with my daughter and my husband. And that's when things just got nuts. That's when it became more regular, and that's how I coped with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that journey it's of course really difficult, right?
Yeah.
But then there are some things I just want to bring our awareness to, that I know that so many of us have struggled with these same things. A lot of times it just starts off with like a comment, right? We literally just get an idea in our head that we're not okay, and that we need to change something. And that's how the whole, dieting, restricting, manipulating my body things start. And one thing that's super frustrating is the connections that we start making in our brain don't go away on their own. So we start connecting this like, oh, I'm lonely, to eating, and then you're going to be lonely again in your life. And then all of a sudden it's escalating and you're strengthening this habit in your brain more and more and more. And then it just turns into a question of like, oh, wait, I'm happier now. Why am I still binging? Oh, wait, things are better, because we actually create a habit out of the binging. So it starts, then it strengthens, and then it just gets confusing because it's like, I don't even know why I'm still doing this. And
Yes.
yeah, I've totally been there, to like the up to here and just like, what am I doing? I remember I used to feel angry that I couldn't eat anymore. Like,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
like I have to wait to digest to eat more. And I would just be like furious about it because I couldn't force myself to eat more. And it's just like, that's not healthy. Like,
Yeah, I'm not supposed to stop when I run out of pancake mix. I'm supposed to stop when I'm full.
yeah, and not this full.
Yes. Oh,
So
totally not. Totally.
yeah. So when it was sort of, I mean, I know this has been a long journey, but like, as it was getting really, really bad, like what was sort of that low point for you? Like what was the thing in your life that was suffering the most because of this very regular and destructive binging?
You know, it's funny because I kept following you. I had seen you years ago and I followed you through the years on social media. And I guess in February, I broke my wrist. And I'm somebody who was always, I was like the go-to person to get stuff done. So I'm used to always being able to get things done. I'm independent and I couldn't even wash my own hair. I couldn't do my job. I couldn't do anything. And you just kept popping up. I'd see Lydia, Lydia. And at one point, um, I realized I couldn't binge anymore without my husband seeing it because I couldn't go out and buy food. Food would be missing from our house and he would see that. I couldn't go and escape because, I needed him for everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do something and I'm trapped. What do I do? And something just told me, I said, press that button. So on Facebook, I pressed the button. I went to your site and it was like, okay, all these years that I have been dieting, because I never really thought about the binging. I thought about that as, oh, I screwed up my diet, you know?
Yeah.
All those years I've been spending dieting and I never realized that actually the problem was the dieting and the binging. And I had to actually tell somebody. So here I was 20 some years after hard binging all the time. And I had to confess. And really, it's funny because, when you diet that much, people had to know, well, she's doing all this dieting, but she's not losing any weight.
Yeah, it's like, well, there were clues,
Yeah.
but like in our minds, we're like, okay, well, let's just. Was this coming up for you of like, we're not going to tell anyone, we're just going to fix it. We're not going to tell anyone
Right.
we're just going to be perfect this time. It's like we keep on like, well, we're about to fix it, and 20
Yes.
years go by.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm right on the verge of fitting into those jeans that I've been hanging on to for all these years. Like, it's going to go away. Once I'm thin and I'm happy, everything's going to be perfect. That was my mindset. But there was that whole little part of it all that I was never dealing with. And I was actually trying to pretend it didn't exist.
yeah.
But, hearing you talk, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I have a problem. And then being diagnosed with binge eating disorder, it was like, holy cow, I've been working on the wrong problem all this time. So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
that clarity I know is so important, but it can also be extremely hard when we
yes,
finally admit the first time, like, oh, this is not a weird thing that I'm just gonna fix anytime. Like this is a lot of life and this is not going away. And like for you, what was it really doing to you to be in this binge eating cycle? Like what was it doing to your health? What was it doing to your emotions?
emotionally, I was a mess. I had a hard time coping with anything that was going on. And my body was a mess. I mean, indigestion, and I was gaining weight. I was like, why am I not losing weight? I'm gaining weight. And my body just felt like hello, something's going wrong here. You're doing all this eating and I don't like it, but you just keep doing it. And I knew I didn't want to, I wanted to hide. I didn't want to see people. I would do it in secret. So I was sort of like planning and plotting all these little binges when people would be asleep. And I was really removed from the world around me. I see that now. I didn't see it then, but I see it now.
Yes.
So
And looking back and seeing how removed you were, like what was that really doing to you to be so isolated?
I was sad and depressed and I felt like a failure. And My husband and I, our relationship, we have such an awesome relationship, and there was like a growing distance was happening. Um, it just, my big worry above all else is I don't want my daughter to grow up and this to be her life. I don't want that. So it was like this anguish of, oh my gosh, since my daughter's been born, she knows mommy eats different food from her. There was just nothing good about that. And that was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, you
Yeah.
know?
And how
So,
often were you thinking about, like, as you were engaging in this and binging and hiding, like, how often were you really worrying about, like, how this is going to be for your daughter and her following your footsteps and how this is impacting her? Like, how much was that weighing on you?
oh, huge, huge. And on a daily basis, multiple times, it was just an issue. It was constantly thinking about her. And
Yeah.
it made me so, so sad. So sad.
Yeah. And with the things that we love the most, right? Like, you have this awesome relationship and you have this awesome daughter, and it's like those are the people that we care about the most. And like, then there's this growing distance,
Yeah.
and it's because of food. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Something that I need, that I can't avoid, that I have to have, that created shame and made me isolate myself. And I had all this shame, and my husband couldn't figure out, like, what's going on here, you know? It just, I finally found my Prince Charming, and now I'm like, stay away from me. Don't look at me. I'm this horrible person. And it was
yeah.
confusing for him too. He had no idea. My whole family could not figure out what was going on, really.
And one thing that's so difficult is a lot of times, like, when people don't know, they have to assume something, right?
Yes.
Like, we've had so many husbands that were just like, I just thought she didn't love me anymore. I just thought she wasn't attracted to me. I just thought there was something really wrong, and it's just like,
Right.
I don't know. It's like, it's food stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And like having this great life that you can enjoy, that's so
Yeah.
incredibly frustrating.
Oh, totally. Totally
Yeah.
frustrating. Yeah.
What else was difficult about this cycle? Just like when you sort of rewind yourself back to how it felt, like, after a binge, leading up to a binge, like, what was sort of your day to day struggle in that?
Oh, I would start planning them. I'd wake up every morning and like, I'm going to be good. Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to follow my diet to a T. And as the day wore on, I would, because I was by myself, I would start plotting without even realizing I was plotting what I was going to do. And I'd come home and I'd almost be like, I can't wait till they go to bed. So I'd be rushing things along and getting frustrated with people. And I just wanted to be alone, hiding, sitting there eating. It was all consuming. Everything about from one extreme to the other. I'd start out with restriction to the max and end up with eating to the max by the end of the day. And all I was thinking about was food. That's it. Food. I've missed so much because that's all I thought about was food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What percentage of the day would you say was going to the plotting, the worrying, the thinking?
Wow, 70% of my day. Because I didn't have the added distraction of other people or other things. It was just constant, constant. Like I didn't know what to do. When I finally was about to stop, I'm like, well, what do I think about for that rest of that time? It just snuck into everything, everything.
Did you have that feeling of like feeling like you stopped recognizing yourself? Like, even when I
Yes.
have free time, like, what do I think about? Like, that sort of like, who am I question.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. Just sort of, oh, what do I do? What do
Yeah.
I like? I it just became all consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else about that side of the journey that you want to share, just as part of your story of just where you were and what it's like to have an eating disorder?
I think, I really feel like one of the key things that clued me into the fact that there was something wrong was feeling like while I was binging, like I was here looking down at what I was doing and having no control over it, yet thinking, stop doing this. You don't need to do this. Why are you doing this? What's going, I felt like I was outside of my body. I didn't have any control over what I was doing. It reached a point where I felt like I had no control. And like there had to be an answer somewhere, but not for me. No, there was no answer for me. I was too far gone. And what am I going to do? There's something wrong with me. I can't tell people. It just had to be suffering within myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know that can be a really lonely place.
Yeah.
Like that suffering within yourself and not even feeling connected to yourself, like literally like hijacked outer body experience, watching yourself like do this thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's it. Yeah. Like I was hijacked. Like somebody was in me taking over and just doing all this craziness, you
Yeah.
know? Mhm.
So I know like that's just this, that cycle just it's exhausting and it wears on you. And like you said, but there was like this little voice, right? Of like, there's maybe another way. Or I know that you keep on seeing like stuff pop up on Facebook, right? It's like we sort of get guided to where we need to go. So for you, like it was so amazing just to have you part of the community, and we started working together and you were with our team. And like, what was one of the first fun clues of freedom? Like one of the first things that you're like, whoa, I couldn't do that before. Now I could, and now I can. Or like, wow, there's no way that that could ever happen. Like just feelings of normalcy or those little clues of freedom. Do you remember like what came up for you?
Oh, I remember, I remember listening and thinking, oh, that would really be nice, but I'm sure this is going to be so difficult. There's just, how could I possibly do this? And all of a sudden, one day, I picked up one of my binge foods and I ate a normal amount. Like I was like, "Oh my gosh, since I was young, pancakes were a problem. They were always a problem. They were my problem child." And working with you through, saying it's okay, it's an okay food, it's not a problem, that's in your head. Pancakes are not bad, they don't have horns on. Um, and I went and I sat down and I ate like two. And my body said, that was great. You're done. Like, yeah. I was kind of like, whoa, is that a hunger signal and a full signal? Like, who was that? you know?
So
And
awesome.
I was done. I was finished and I put it aside. And I think I even followed you right away. I was like, oh my God, Lydia.
Guess what?
Yes, what happened to me?
I know. I totally thought that was a made up thing too. Like this feeling of like, I'm full, I'm done. Like that doesn't
Yes.
really happen. People just say that because they want to seem like better than me.
Right. Oh, totally. I haven't had a full feeling unless it was, oh my God, there's no more room, for 20 years.
Yeah.
It was, and for it to be a binge food was off the charts exciting. I was so excited.
So awesome. So being able to just have that normalcy, like, oh, here is a former binge food that's just a regular thing that I'm eating, and I actually am done
Yes.
after just like a normal amount. And
Yes.
how quickly did that happen for you? How many weeks into our working together did you start seeing that happening?
I think maybe 2 weeks, maybe it started. I want to say it was even, I feel like it was a lot sooner because it was such a shock.
Yeah.
Around, around, I think it was like around 2 or 3 weeks where it happened. And it was like, holy cow.
So cool.
Oh
Love
my gosh. Yeah.
it.
And the best thing was telling somebody and they understood, because I remember telling my husband and just being like a little kid, like, I ate pancakes and I didn't eat like the whole box. And he's like, that's great. Welcome to normal life. Like, no, that's a big
Yeah.
deal.
And we're all just like cheering for you. We're all just like, wow.
Exactly. Yes.
That's really, really cool. Love that. And then like what is different for you now than it used to be? Like what is life like sort of on the side of freedom? Like how do you feel around food now? What can you do now that you couldn't before? Like what are things like on this side?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I have to say, um, one first of all, I hold up my wrists because I have no Fitbit on and it's the first time in 5 years
Woohoo!
that I haven't been obsessed. I was always about the numbers. I had an app that I had to put all my food in. I had to watch, God forbid it was 11 o'clock at night and I had 9,900 steps. I'm walking around my living room like, oh my God, I got to get the extra 100. The obsession of it all, reading labels on everything, the calculations, that's how I realized how much time I spent plotting and planning. And it's gone. It's gone. And the diet brain, which is what a lot of us call it, I was like, what do I fill that with? Like, I need to be calculating, don't I? And I wasn't. I had all this space to all of a sudden do other things and think about other things. And um, it was incredible. And to be able to eat food and enjoy food and not think about all the little, scientific details and know when I'm going to be done, that in itself is huge. Like, I'm done. Like, my body says I'm done. It's not, when does the food run out? It's none of that. It's about what serves me. And to boot, I ended up with, which this was the most surprising thing, I ended up with amazing new friends from this group. I totally didn't expect it. And I have these lifelong relationships now with these beautiful people, and we have such a great time. It's just amazing. It is.
Yeah, love it. And really, I just feel like, I mean, yeah, we end eating disorders, but we also just like have a party. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, it's the people that are attracted to this program, I feel like are just like the coolest people. Like, we have amazing friends. We have like such a good time. And isn't that great that like after 20 years of an eating disorder, now you're free, and like
Yes.
highlight is like, I made friends. Like,
Oh, yes.
like that just shows like how cool this is in so many different ways, that
Right.
getting over an eating disorder is not like, I mean, it's a big deal, but it's not like a huge deal, because yeah, we did that and now we get to enjoy life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And to see, I do have to say, I'm so much more aware of the diet culture now,
Yeah.
and how many of us have become slaves to this way of life. It makes me so sad. It really does. And how we judge other women, and all of that has changed with me. I used to see a new diet and be like, "Oh, maybe I should be on that. Maybe that's what's going to fix my life." And that panic and oh my God, I have to have it. And now I see it and I'm like, oh, those poor people. Like, they're looking for that magic pill or the magic recipe or the magic food plan. And it's not there. It's really not. Actually, we were talking, the group of us were talking one day, and I said, we get on here and we laugh and support each other, and we talk about, oh my gosh, I had this great piece of cake and it was awesome, and I only wanted the cake. And then I'm like, there's a lot of people that get together and talk. And what they're doing is they're saying, okay, so I measured my food and I only had 3 ounces of chicken and I only had this. And I started laughing. I'm like, I feel bad for those people. Like, that's crazy. I don't even want to think of it. I look at a menu and I'm like, what do I want to eat? Not what looks good that I can eat.
Yes, that is an awesome distinction, because it's really about, at the core, doing what we want to do.
Right.
And for somebody who really wants to measure out their food for the rest of their life, cool.
Right.
But so many of us don't want to do that. We feel like we have to do that, or else,
Right.
or else I'd be off the rails, or else I'd be crazy, or else I'd be the way that I always am after 4 days of measuring my food. Like, and what's really tough about that is when we give it so much importance. Like, we're tracking our steps, we're measuring our food, we're counting our calories, we're all the numbers, we're showing ourselves and everyone else that this is the most important thing. This is up on a pedestal of something I care so much about. And then we're just wiping that out with binging.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, wait, if I care that much about it, and then I do this thing that completely wrecks it, who am I?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yes, that's definitely in. And the fact that the two things really are sort of hand in hand and they feed off of each other. I mean, I've learned so much about how the mind works from you that I always used to say, I want to know what the secret is. What's that little code? Like, there's got to be that thing that's just going to fix it. And I got that. I got that. Like, that actually exists. And I got it from you.
And you showed up and you did the work and you did the practice and you got outside of your comfort zone and you did the things you needed to, but you knew how, right? Like,
Right.
that's the biggest thing, because man, all the years that I spent working I couldn't work any harder on doing the things perfectly that weren't ever going to help me anyway. Like,
Yes. Oh,
bad.
oh, I want all that time back. I'm like, I want to go to all of those companies and say, you owe me time.
Yeah.
So
It's like, that was my life.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And meanwhile, the answer was right here, and it's all so, it's clear, it's understandable, it's doable. And I love that I loved doing it. Like, it took a part of my life that I felt shame and sadness and embarrassment and stress over, and turned it into an experience where I learned about myself, and I ended up loving everything that was at the end. You know, it's like when you have that dread to go do something, and then once you get there, you have a blast. So unexpected, Lydia. Totally unexpected. And I know it's not just me. I know that.
It's so beautiful. What else are you celebrating about freedom? What else is just like part of your life now?
I love that I have time to do things that I didn't before. You know, I'm doing things like, you know, I'm sitting in front of the TV watching TV, and I'm a crafty person. So like I'll start knitting, you know, and that makes me more available to my family. Instead of reading all these crazy diet articles and searching for help, I'm knitting and I'm watching TV and I'm talking to my family. I'm available. I want to be creative. I want to write again. I have a book that I started years ago, and it just got crowded out by all of the craziness in my head from binging. And now there's all that space. So I can take that time and do that, you know? I love not worrying about food, and not making my food and making my daughter's food, and, you know, making sure I have a stash of things in case I need to binge. Like, all of that time, all that thought is gone. You know, it's just, it's free. It's like it's open on my agenda.
You're like, oh, look, I just wiped everything off my calendar that didn't
Yes,
matter.
exactly. That's exactly it. It's like, I have lots of free time now, people.
So awesome. And I love just like, you know, your writing and your crafts, and just like, this is the you stuff, right? Like, this is the stuff that you want to do that makes you you, and like the things that we give up on. I mean, there are so many of us that literally go into careers in health and wellness and fitness just because there's nothing else anymore. Like,
Right.
and those are beautiful careers if you want to do them. But if
Right.
you've literally given up on all of your dreams that were your real dreams, just because, well, I've just got to try to do things that get me in line,
Yes.
man,
Yes.
that's a hard place to be. So
Right.
being able to do the things that are yours, that are
Yeah.
your dreams, finish up stuff that you started a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's, and now I was big into, excuse me, learning about nutrition, and I can actually take that and make it serve me now,
Yeah.
instead of trying to make it work and make my body smaller so
Yeah.
that I can go binge. You
I
know?
remember like being just wanting so badly to take everything that I knew about good, healthy eating and be able to do it. But I
Yes.
never could because I was always making up for binges.
Yes.
So I couldn't just like sit down to a beautiful meal with sweet potatoes because it's like, well, no, I have to only eat lettuce and lemon juice. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll get to that after I figure this out. So it didn't matter what I knew about food or health. It was just like, well, I've got to get my head above water first.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It really overshadowed all that positive knowledge that I have, that once all these crazy thoughts were pushed out of the way, I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to eat like a regular person. That's in there.
Yeah. You have like an internal thing that says, oh, we've had enough pancakes.
Yeah.
You could have never read a nutrition book in your life and you
Right.
still have pancake signals.
Exactly. Exactly. I need those signals. I need them. We all need them. And it's what helps us live that healthy lifestyle. And
Yeah.
it's a key part of it. And to know that it was there all this time and I was fighting it like crazy, I feel like a completely new person. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually living now. I feel bad that I wasted so much time.
Yeah. And I'm so, so good in that triumph. Like,
Right.
think of all that time that went to that. And now it's like, okay, now we get to live, and you get to live with the experience of knowing what that's like. And like,
Yeah.
it's just such a cool thing. And I love that, you're sharing your story and that we get to celebrate you. So
Thank you.
anything else on the side of freedom that you just wanted to share about, like, what it's like to be free?
What it's like to be free. it's it's so hard. I mean, I wish I could put it into words, the tremendous feeling, like I feel like, this is funny. I told this to somebody the other day and they laughed, but you ever like vacuum your carpet and then you realize your carpet's not really doing, or your vacuum's not doing the job, and you're like, what the heck? And then you empty your vacuum and you turn it on and you're like, oh, all right, now it's getting everything. That's what I feel like. I feel like I had a clog and everything was not getting pulled in. And now it all gets pulled in. It's like now everything's working the way it's supposed to work.
I love that analogy. That is just so beautiful. That is a great expression of that feeling. Yeah, it's just like
unclogged vacuum.
And it doesn't matter how much you vacuum, but it's clogged. It's just like, yeah, you got to fix the thing that's keeping it from doing what it's supposed to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, it's wonderful. And really, Lydia, I mean, I can't say it enough. I owe this to you. It's tremendous. The program that you have, everybody who suffers like this, who could resonate with what I said, excuse me, allergies. Everybody who's in that position, the answer exists. It's here. The program is wonderful. It's not complicated. It's simple, and it helps you take back your life that you've lost to all of it. It's sort of like, I know the last time I spoke to you, I asked you, I said, doesn't it frustrate you to see all these people saying that they offer answers to everybody? And meanwhile, you have it, and it's not what you're teaching people. What they say works. It's not that. This is something completely new and different. And it's amazing. I really I can't say enough goodness about your program. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for everything.
Well, this is what it's all about. I mean, it's all about unclogging vacuums. That's the cause. And thank you. That means so much. I love that. I adore you. And really, like, when it comes down to it, I mean, I'm so glad that we have an answer, but it's the thing that the answer does, right? Like, we end eating disorders so that you can be you. And like, we need more amazing people being themselves in the world.
Yes.
And like, obsessing about food 70% of the day is not how we get there. And to just be able to have you freed up, like, the world is a better place because you get to be you in it.
I'm glad you think so. I kind of do.
I mean, obs.
Thanks.
So fun. Oh gosh. Like, this is just so great to celebrate you. Anything else on your mind that's just sort of like, do you feel like this is complete, or do you feel like you have like a burning thing that you wanted to say, or like just want to give you the floor?
I do feel like it is complete. I feel like I'm starting new, and I felt hopeless, and now I feel full of hope. And that to me is worth everything. And the time, it went by so quickly. It was just so much fun that it actually flew by, And I remember being so panicked. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do without Lydia? But I still have you.
I'm here, and you have so much to do. Your schedule is free now, and now you get to do all those wonderful things that you want to do.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. I have my life back, and I'm not wasting time on ridiculousness.
Yeah. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing in the wonderful way that you share. I mean, you are a delight. And I just love to see that being able to shine through now that you're free. I mean, like, so cool. And enjoying your knight in shining armor, and enjoying your daughter, and enjoying your meals, and enjoying your time, and enjoying your crafts and your books and your writing, like all those things. So huge congratulations. I just want to celebrate you for showing up and doing the work. Like, not everyone is going to do that. Not everyone is going to value their life and then see the answer, that coachability, because you didn't know how this was going to work before you did it.
Not a clue.
You didn't have, what was that for you? Like, you know, when you're at that point of decision of like, okay, I'm going to do Lydia's program or I'm not, because it's always up to you. Like, what fear came up for you? What came up for you? And then like, what made you decide to take that step of like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I need to do this.
Right. There's always that fear that anything that you try, if it's not going to work, then what? You know, if this doesn't work, then what do I do? Then there's nothing else. I have no hope. This is my last hope. Like I always had that with every diet or program. Excuse me. And I had that fear, but something in my gut told me when I listened to your presentation, I was like, this is totally different. And it just, I felt it. Like it wasn't like you just teaching us how to do this. You had done it. You were not just teaching us, you were also living proof of it. And my thoughts were, you know what? I got to try this. It's completely different. It's like nothing else I've ever done before. And for once, I'm going to stop thinking about, you know, all the things I learned in the diet culture and learn to take care of me. And I looked at you and I'm like, oh, I want to be like her. I want to be like Lydia. You know, so I just knew right away. I said, I felt in my gut. And, you know, I'm kind of a believer of fate. And I was like, all these years that I followed you and was always intrigued every time that I saw you on social media, I just felt like that was for a reason. Sort of like fate or God or whoever you want to call it was just dangling you there going, when you're ready, she's here. And she's going to teach you what you need to know. And that's what happened.
Love it. Love it. So cool. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely celebrating you and who you are and your journey and your freedom. And you guys, if this sparks you, if you sort of have that like Lydia's dangling feeling for you, then you can do exactly what Vicki did. I mean, like she just went to lydialifestyle.com/apply. And we have a calendar there where we actually have, as long as there are spots available, if you see one, snag one really quick, we get really booked. But if you can go there and find a session and get it, then you can have a free session with our team and we will help you to get that foundation of freedom. And that's what we want to offer to everyone. And so that's available for you. And we're just going to get clarity and really get that foundation of, you know, what needs to happen, what's working, what's not happening, or what's working, what's not working, and what do you need to do to like fill in the gaps. So that's one option for you. We have so many amazing, you know, supports and new videos all the time that we just are so happy that you're here and celebrating with us. And so happy we get to celebrate Vicki together and just adore you guys. Thank you for being here. Vicki, thank you for being here and sharing your story. And this is Vicki and Lydia, the lifestyle coach, signing off. Bye, guys. You have so many options. You can watch more videos. You can subscribe for new videos every Monday. You can even join our Facebook group with an amazing support community.